Well, well, well. Another day and another Trump ally family member charged in a bizarre child trafficking, bizarre cult scandal. Yep. It's almost too predictable at this point because these people, they try to hide behind a White House title, but the truth always finally catches up one way or another. And this time it is catching up to one major Trump insider today. And you might have heard bits and pieces of this story already, but I promise you, you have not heard the whole thing, especially how this whole thing completely connects back to people and the PDF files who are currently in power. Yeah, imagine looking at the American public dead in the eye, openly defending the Schmepstein files, and then abruptly resigning from one of the most powerful intelligence jobs in the world out of the absolute fucking blue. Then just weeks after fleeing your post, your own family gets busted in a disgusting, deplorable, child luring scandal. It would be one thing if it was just a story about a disgraced official whose family belonged in a bizarre fringe cult. However, there's more to this one. And why is it always the ones we most expect, right? It's always ones we most expect. This happens, but it is happening now on a whole nother level of terrifying. And when you realize the exact same cult is now tied to more PDF allegations, and get this, its most loyal members are still heavily intertwined or still serving in our government today. I'm going to show you exactly who and exactly why, and you are going to be disgusted. And yeah, so speaking of disgusting, Stephen Miller is hungry. He is pale. He is frailer than ever, except for his pot belly. He's eating all the diarrhea lettuce he can. And he's still never satisfied. Please stay safe and hit subscribe. Share this video with somebody who needs to learn about the Stephen Miller isms of current day and the risks and the risk factors. Subscribe, share this video with a friend, leave us a comment, 6 words or more. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. Hype this video. Hype is our love language. Willa and I. Again, I'm Lauren Preacher. If I didn't say that, it's been a long week. So, okay, let's talk about this sudden exit in a sickening scandal that you may know of, but you don't know this. So, of course, the person at the center of all this is former Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. And after 15 months of holding the keys to America's top secrets, while also dodging congressional subpoenas all over the Schmepstein files, she just abruptly saw herself out back in May 2026. And you know how I feel about people seeing themselves out. Great. Goodbye. Good riddance. Mitch McConnell saw himself out. Lady Graham, goodbye. Thank you both for doing that. Now let's keep it up. And she saw herself out and claimed that she needed to care for her sick husband. But let's look back at the grift really briefly, shall we? Because it really sets the tone for everything you're going to see next.
Will we ever see anyone held accountable for this incredible lie on the American people?
I will do all that I can, and we have whistleblowers, actually, Maria, coming forward now after we release these documents, because there are people who were around, who were working within the intelligence community at this time, who were so disgusted by what happened. We're starting to see some of them come out of the woodwork here because they, too, like you and I and the American people, want to see justice delivered. So we're going to provide everything that we have, everything that we will continue to gather to the Department of Justice for that direct intent and that direct purpose. There must be indictments, those responsible, no matter how powerful they are and were at that time, no matter who was involved in creating this treasonous conspiracy against the American people, they all must be held accountable.
Oh, Tulsi Gabbard, do not you and I and American people me. Not today, ma'am. So she is trying to say here that she will do all that she can, but really, in this moment, she was inventing coups to distract from Trump's ties to Schmepstein. Okay? So she has a history of this. She loves to protect a PDF file, and it all makes sense because just a few weeks after that, she walked away from the White House, and then her family exploded into public scandal.
Honolulu police say they arrested the suspect while he was already in custody for a separate crime. Prosecutors this morning charged 55-year-old Batarti Gabbard, also known as Bhakti Gabbard, with custodial interference. Now, if the name sounds familiar, he's the brother of former Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. And according to police, he allegedly offered a 9-year-old boy money and other items if he came up to his room in Waikiki over the weekend. The boy left, or he left, I should say, after the boy refused. Officers later arrested Gabbard on a separate theft misdemeanor along Dukes Lane last night. He appeared in court this morning and pleaded not guilty to that crime. Gabbard was released and is set to be back in court for the theft offense on August 14th. No court date set for his custodial interference case.
Oh, great. Yeah, let's talk about this one. So, yeah, her 55-year-old brother, Batarti, which is another word for bastard, was arrested at the Waikiki Hotel pool for targeting children as young as 9. And police say he offered kids cash, chewing gum, and tried to entice them to go to his hotel room. Great. While also actively asking for their names and then writing them down in a notebook. Awesome. So, and instead of demanding an investigation, Tulsi Gabbard's father, who is Hawaiian State Senator Mike Gabbard, ran straight to Fox News to spin the arrest, blaming the entire incident on weed and claiming his son was simply having a mentee B. Excuse me, on behalf of weed, absolutely fucking not. Mike wasn't just a desperate dad here. He wasn't just trying to be a protector. You are a politician, motherfucker. You are a Hawaiian state senator. Hold on to that. Because her dad isn't just, again, a random politician. He is far from the only member of this cult currently holding levers of power. So, listener, you can do everything right. You can have strong passwords, security apps, alerts turned on, and still, it's not enough. Because then you get the notification, unusual activity detected. You open your banking app, and the money is already gone. Scammers aren't just after your data anymore. They're after your money, your credit, your identity, and your time. That's why I switched to CoverOn. CoverOn doesn't just detect problems, it steps in when money is on the line. If your personal data is exposed or your accounts start acting suspicious, you get real-time alerts and expert support to help secure everything before it becomes a full takeover. And if money is already gone, you're covered with serious financial backup, up to $10,000 if you lose money to scams or online fraud, up to $2 million in identity theft recovery coverage, up to $25,000 in home title insurance, and up to $50,000 if you're targeted with cyber extortion or threats. Because protection isn't just about stopping threats, it's about what happens after. You don't need another notification telling you something went wrong. You need actual financial backup. So one scam can cost you everything, and I need you to protect yourself now. The first 100 users get 20% off with code LPTV at checkout. You're going to go to coveron.com/LPTV. Don't wait until a small mistake becomes a full financial disaster. Protect yourself now. So we've all been distracted by the brother's arrest and, of course, her sudden exit and the cult leaks. But what we need to talk about here is what we're going to expose a true depth of this family's corruption. So a whistleblower from Tulsi's own campaign leaked over 25,000 pages of secret memos, proving that her whole career was micromanaged by a bro named Chris Butler, who was the extremist guru of the Science of Identity Foundation.
A new bombshell Washington Post article details the lengths to which an extremist Hawaiian cult may have been advising former Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, both when she was in Congress as well as when she was serving in the Trump administration. And after this reporter reached out to Tulsi for comment, she resigned from that position in the Trump administration just 2 days later. Now, Trump world is melting down over this story. This mysterious religious figure in Hawaii appears to have been at the center of what Tulsi Gabbard's politics and policies, and even her public appearances, social media posts, and people who were supporting her on social media, they are all connected back to this man and the group that former followers say is a cult.
And we've got another one.
Tulsi Gabbard maintained a close relationship with a cult leader and even let this guy guide her decisions. A years-long Washington Post investigation uncovered emails, internal documents, and talking points that allegedly reveal a close relationship between Tulsi Gabbard and Chris Butler. He's the leader of the alt-right Science of Identity Foundation, SIF, a religious group that critics and former members have described as a cult. A former member who worked on several of Gabbard's campaigns provided the material to the Post. She alleged that Butler gave verbal directives that aides transcribed and distributed to a small group that sometimes included Gabbard and her parents. The Post reported finding dozens of instances between 2014 and 2016 where Gabbard's interviews, policy positions, legislation, and voting record closely matched those internal directives. Butler has condemned U.S. intelligence agencies as being run by madmen, but appeared to have significant influence over Gabbard, the leader of our national intelligence. The Post cited a 2014 email urging legislation targeting countries whose citizens fought for ISIS, noting that Gabbard introduced similar legislation 1 week later. Additionally, an analysis of her voting record while she was in Congress was strikingly similar to the directive she was allegedly receiving from Butler himself. It's also being reported that Butler supporters operated numerous social media accounts promoting Gabbard. These accounts were the loudest voices after she announced her resignation from Trump's cabinet in May. They said things like, "D&I Gabbard is a true patriot and will be missed." But former members of this cult said that Butler was believed to be God's voice on earth.
Awesome. So how bad could it be? Let me show you, because the documents showed Butler was literally puppeteering her. And how crazy is this guy? Because they're both clearly crazy if she's allowing this cult leader to control her and she controls our intelligence, or did. Wait, we really sure know how to pick them in the MAGA administration, don't you? Huh? This woman had access to America's deepest national security secrets. And they want you guys to be mad about Joe Biden, who Joe Biden's nowhere to be fucking found at this point. You need to lock in, and we need to pay way more attention to these cabinet picks because it is crazy town. And if you think this guru lost his grip on the government just because Tulsi stepped down, you're wrong. His network is still active and they are still passing laws today, which brings us to the most darkest piece of this puzzle. It's one thing to have a cult operating in the shadows. It's an entirely different reality when that cult is so intertwined with and holds actual legislative power right now. So again, Tulsi's father, Mike Gabbard, the guy who brushed off his son luring children with candy and money, textbook fucking creep shit, blaming that on bad weed. Excuse you, sir. He's a literal sitting Hawaiian state senator today. And former members of this sect have called him an alpha male in the guru's inner circle, meaning he doesn't do anything without Chris Butler's approval. So did Chris Butler excuse this luring of children? And it's not just her dad. Her mother, Carol Gabbard, has also held public office on the state's Board of Education. The family has been a political arm for this group for decades, and they're not the only ones. In fact, the sex obsession with infiltrating the government goes all the way back to 1976, when they launched a fake political party called Independence for Godly Government to quietly run a massive slate of candidates while hiding their own ties to the guru from the voters. So when you look at the big picture, it's fucking creepy. It's chilling. You have a powerful political family dodging Schmepstein subpoenas, a brother arrested for luring kids with cash and candy in broad fucking daylight. And then you have undeniable proof that an extremist cult leader has been just like puppeteering her the entire time. Are we not alarmed enough? Tulsi might be gone from running America's intelligence, but the people taking orders from that exact same guru are still sitting in public office today. And we know of at least these two. So they're writing laws, shaping our government. Who else? Who else? I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Who else do you think is giving cult? I got my own ideas across both parties, but I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think of all this, and Willa and I will be back with more.